out of any fish I've ever seen. I mean, this thing was just a behemoth. It was just absolute dinosaur. I don't think I'll ever see one that big, honestly, ever again.
Welcome back to a classic. Captain Brandon Hagopian. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Oh, thank you for having me on, brother.
No worries at all, mate. Long overdue, this one. Long overdue. So to introduce everyone to you, I want to show, I guess, the size of the fish we're going to be talking about today. And this is a follower question. I sent it to you before. You sent a couple of pictures across. And for anyone who's listening, if you do want to ask any questions to any of the people we're interviewing on here, just jump on our Instagram in the broadcast channel on there. We'll announce who we're interviewing beforehand, and you can ask any questions you may have. But this follow-up question is, what is your biggest ever catch for bluefin?
So it's one that I might never beat. I mean, this one will stick with me forever. Out of any fish I've ever seen, I mean, this thing was just a behemoth. It was just an absolute dinosaur. I don't think I'll ever see one that big, honestly, ever again. I mean, it was just a total blessing to catch one that big, especially, with the fight I had of it, how lucky I got getting that in. It was just, everything just went right. And I just, we were able to seal a deal on it.
And how big did you say this one was?
That one was 124 inches, dressed out over 900 pounds. So that's without the guts and stuff. So probably with the head and tail and everything together, I'd say it was like probably 1150 to 1200
pounds.
Moss, yeah.
Absolute giant. And that photo probably doesn't do it justice at all there.
It doesn't. I mean, you look at it and it's just, the one that does justice is the picture of the one my buddy caught next to it. That's really where you can see.
I'll pull this one up first. So this is the one your buddy got.
So
that's still a huge fish.
Yeah, we came in at the same time. He caught that one.
Yep.
And then we had the same buyer. So he put his fish on the truck and then I put mine on. And the difference between the two is just like, it's crazy.
I'll pull it up next.
Real.
Do you remember how big this one was?
I want to say it was around like 400, 500.
400
maybe.
Pounds.
400 pounds, I'd say. Maybe a little more.
It's a huge fish still. But I'll bring up this one of them in the truck. So that's the size.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Just how much fatter it is too. Yeah.
Wild. He sent me that picture later that night, and people were like, "Oh, that's fake. That's photoshopped." It was the funniest shit ever.
Should have got you laying next to it.
Yeah, I know. It's I know. Well, I do. I have a picture a little farther in of me next to it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I've got that here actually.
I mean, just the size difference is like crazy. In perspective, I mean, that's that gaff, the fish holder I'm holding. It's like a little gaff to pull a fish up. That's about up to my waist. And you can't really see, but that fish went past my knees, like laying on the ground.
In width.
In fat.
Girth, whatever you call it.
It was one of the fattest fish I've ever caught. And, long wise, I mean, it was a behemoth. It was huge.
And what was that fight like for this thing?
It was wild. I mean, we fought it for 6 hours after fighting one. So we got out there. We hooked up instantly. We fought it for an hour and a half. Broke that one off. I put another bait out. And before I could put a bait out on the other rod, it went off. And that was that fish right there. And we fought it for 6 hours. Fought it a little bit into the night. And then got it in.
And
it's an absolute slob.
What do you even do when you get that to the boat?
I was speechless. I've never gotten a fish to the side and just, I was speechless. I didn't know what to say. I mean, I never saw one that big, so I was questioning, if it was a record or whatever it was. I mean, I didn't know what to think.
Yep.
Just, I've caught big ones. I caught big ones before that, 800, 900 pounders. And this fish this big is just, a different breed. A lot of the times when they get bigger, they lose their fight. But this fish fought me like this fish gave me hell. I mean, this fish was up and down, took line, got all my line back, went to the bottom, and then as I got it up to the top, I harpooned it. It rolled over and the line snaps. So we got it on the harpoon rope, and we fought it on the harpoon rope for like 20 minutes.
So as soon as you harpooned it, you lost it. Well, the line broke.
Well, the main line snapped on the rod.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you would have lost it if you hadn't harpooned it.
We would have lost it. If that harpoon pulled, we would have lost it.
How would that make you feel?
Oh, God, it's the worst. It's a heartbreak. I mean, I've lost a lot of them, and anyone who's been doing it knows. I mean, it happens, and it's a horrible feeling.
Yep.
It's not like it's not like your largemouth bass fishing where, shit, we'll just cast out, maybe catch another one. It's like this is all or nothing. If we don't get this fish, we're going home empty-handed. So
you would have spent money to get it.
And it would have, and I saw it, and before I even got this fish in, after 2 hours, I had him up top, and it would have just been another fish story. People wouldn't even have believed it.
Yeah.
It was wild. I mean, it was wild. In the same spot, about 6 years ago too. This is about 3 years ago. About 6 years ago, I fought one for 8 hours and broke off in the same spot. So I got a little sense of, revenge, and
yep.
I definitely got it back, because that one was haunting me for a while, the one that I lost. So it was pretty cool that we were able to get that one in.
So when you're fighting a fish like this, especially if you've seen it, you know how big it is. Are you just fighting this thing on anxiety, just waiting to lose it?
You kind of have to, if you baby it, especially a fish this big. I mean, everything you ever known or everything you ever learned just goes out the window. Every fish fights different. Some fish will just come right to the boat. I mean, I caught an 800. It was like an 850 pounder. A few years ago, we got it to the boat in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Every fish just fights different, and they all do different things. They all different. There's different scenarios that happen. So, everyone's different, and it's just,
So this fish here, this is obviously an outlier being your biggest fish. What's an average sort of size fish for you?
I mean, we get them down here from 30 pounds all the way up to this size, and we have a really healthy fishery. These bluefin came back in static numbers, and growing up, I always saw them out there. You'd see them every once in a while, and growing up, like commercial fishing my whole life, you'd see them every once in a while, and it's like, you're always outgunned. You never had the gear for it. So I always told myself, whenever I get to that point where I can do it for myself, and I'm on my own boat and I'm doing my own thing, I'm always going to be ready when they come up, and I definitely
you're ready
now. So,
and when you bring in a fish this size, is it being such an outlier of a fish? Is there a bit of fanfare when you get it back in, or it's just another fish, off you go?
No, I mean, this one was special.
Yep.
This one was special. I mean, I didn't want to leave. I kept staring at it, and because it's very unlikely I'll ever see one this big ever again.
Yeah.
The size of it, just people don't understand. Like, they can look at this picture all day, and they just don't understand the true size to it. It's like, took up the whole size of the back. It's a whole freezer truck. Took up the whole back size of it.
Crazy.
From one wall to the other. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's an incredible fish. And I wanted to kick off with that one just so people get a sense of the type of fish we're talking about here, because this is not an everyday fish. Most people will never catch one, never see one. Like, you do this all the time. You have seen one that size. And the other fish you're talking like 900 pounds. That's a gigantic
Yeah,
fish
they're
anyway.
still giant fish, and
Yeah.
everyone's special. Everyone has their own memory. Everyone has their own story. But
and
this one's different.
You keep the hook or anything from this one?
Any
memento?
I don't know where it went. I have the tail of it in my backyard.
Oh, do you?
But yeah. But I didn't keep the hook. No.
Jeez, I'd love to see the tail of this thing.
That's
huge. A beauty.
Somewhere buried in my backyard. I don't know.
Yeah, it wouldn't fit on the screen anyway. Yeah. But no, that's a monster. I wanted to kick off with that just to give everyone an idea of the kind of fisherman you are catching these giants. But mate, before we dive right into it, take me back to where it all began for you, your family growing up, fishing, and how that relationship all began.
So I grew up in a place where, the fishing's so diverse, and you could catch fish like that, and then the next day, you can go out and catch, little bass and little perch and stuff. And growing up, it was always my passion and my dream to, in whichever way, go down this road with fishing. And I was blessed to have a supportive family that they believed in me, they believed in my goals. Growing up, that's all I wanted to do. I mean, I'd get out of school, I'd get home, I'd want to fish, and even back in like elementary school, my mom would take me, my father would take me, my grandfather, my grandmother, anyway I could get a ride, I'd go fish. And even if it was just down the street for some small stuff, it was just a passion. It's all I wanted to do. And growing up, I got myself into a lot of trouble, and I wasn't the best, definitely wasn't the best role model child, but fishing definitely saved my life and got me out of a lot of stuff, and got me out of a lot of dark places. And very grateful to have the opportunity and be in the location that I am, and again have the family and friends to support me and motivate me and keep pushing me to be the best I could be. And I can't stretch that enough, because those days, they'd stand out there in 20-degree weather while I'm catching holdover stripers up in Providence, from that. And just, I'm so grateful. And, it got so bad to a point, I'd sneak out, I'd tell them I'm sleeping at a friend's house, lock my bike up at the bus stop, and take the 60 bus to Newport. And, any way I could get there, I'd fish all night.
Really?
Happens to be. Yeah. So I'm very happy.
And just to clarify, 20 degrees for you is very different to 20 degrees for me. So you're talking Fahrenheit there, which I'm guessing is pretty cold. Yeah. That's snow weather?
Yes. No, I mean, I fish in anything, snow,
Yep.
I mean, any kind of weather. I mean, I just stopped fishing. It's winter here. I just stopped fishing 2 weeks ago. I was fishing for bluefin up until a few weeks ago. Actually, one of the best stories I have was around Christmas Eve. I caught a big bluefin in a snowstorm, and
wow.
Yeah, I'll fish in anything, man. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, was that this Christmas gone?
No, that was probably like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. So you're out there in a snowstorm. Yeah.
Yeah, that. Unfortunately, there's so many people fishing now that, the quota doesn't last as long. They give us a quota to follow, and once that quota is hit, they close it. But
oh, right.
The past few years of fishery, like, there's a lot more people doing it. It was never this popular, and
TV shows got in there.
Yeah. It's what it is, though. It's still a lot of fish, and they're very well protected. And luckily it's not easy to catch them. So you can't just go out and expect to be on them. I got lucky. I grew up, on a boat. My dad always had a boat. my family always had boats, and I grew up on the water, and I could drive a boat before I could drive a car. That's just where I grew up, commercial fishing and any kind of fishing I could do. I loved it.
Yeah.
And
you still get that same excitement you got when you were a kid?
I still have it. I still get butterflies every day I go. Nothing ever changes.
Yeah. How
I'm
good's
just
that?
happy. I'm just happy I can share that with other people now, doing charters and sharing the love with people and creating these memories, being a part of them. So
Wow, yeah.
very blessed to be where I am.
That Christmas Eve one, though, that's intrigued me a little bit. That's not one I was prepared for. So it was out there, it was snowing, and you're out there fighting giant bluefin.
Yeah, I actually did an article for it for the Fisherman magazine.
Oh, really? On that day?
Yeah. And it was a wild day. I mean, so actually what happened was the quota closed. It closed on like December 10th or something like that. And everyone put their boats away, everyone said they were done, and then they randomly came out and said they were going to open it up for 2 or 3 days. And I got 3 fish in a row before they closed it. So like I'm still in go mode. Like I want to fish. I want to keep fishing. So I went out that day and I launched. It was snowing so bad, like I could barely see. I couldn't see in front of me. Started off slow, and then I started seeing all these whales and all this bait coming and all these birds, and I hooked up. I fought him into the night, and I got him.
Got him.
Pretty wild.
Bit of an early Christmas present.
I have a picture. I don't know if you can bring it up, but I'll show it on my phone.
Oh, that is a sick photo. Wow.
I was all by myself too.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't really see, but
no, I can put it over this video, so I'll put that one up. That's
so
what a photo.
I was all by myself. I was trying so hard to set the phone up, and I finally got it, and I got that picture. I would have liked a better one, but
yep.
No, it was the experience.
What an experience.
And I know my buddy Sandro got one last January, pretty late. And other than that, that's probably the latest fish that I know of. That one that I just showed you, and the fish that kid Sandro caught.
Yep.
That was the latest I know of. That was like January 7th or something like that. So they don't stick around. There's not a lot of them that stick around, but some of them do, for sure.
Yep. Incredible.
That was definitely awesome.
Yeah. How'd that story sneak under my radar?
There's so many of them. I don't know.
Isn't there?
It just came to me when I was talking about it.
Yep. Do you keep a tally of how many you've caught?
Let's come back.
Do you keep a tally of how many you've caught?
I don't.
Nah.
No, not anymore. Kind of got past that a little bit.
Yep.
But a lot. I've done a good number of them.
Yeah. Wow, it's incredible.
It's tough. It's a tough fishery, though. There's a lot of heartbreaks in it. A lot of heartbreaks and a lot of emotions.
I bet. But you're doing something you love.
Yeah, that's all that matters. In the end, you could be so pissed. You say you're never gonna, you come back all pissed that you lost and whatever. You say you don't want to do it, and then the next day you wake up and it's like, I want to do it all over again. It's just addicting, especially tuna fishing. It's a drug.
Yeah, no, it's epic. So that whole fishery around there is pretty healthy with bluefin and everything else.
It's extremely healthy.
Yep.
It's extremely healthy. We have, especially the bait now. There is such an abundance of bait here. It's insane. We got herring that made a comeback. The herring numbers were down for a while, and every year I see more and more. Pogies, we got those Omega boats coming in and pretty much wiping them clean.
All right. What are they doing? They just drag net them.
They just drag net them, and they they absolutely destroy schools of them. You'll have a biomass move into the bay, and the next day they get a hold of them and they're gone. It's
Wow.
sad. It's that's a discussion for another day, though.
For sure, yeah, definitely.
So
yeah, but overall, it's pretty healthy that whole fishery.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
For the few the regulations that they do have on them, it keeps a sustainable amount. I mean, it's definitely not as restricted and protected as we'd like to see it, but for the most part, it's healthy.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful.
Definitely.
And catching these big giants pretty regularly, do you train? How do you keep fit and ready to go? Because I imagine you can't just jump up and grab one. How are you keeping ready for this?
I mean, it starts at the dock. It starts prepping for them, making sure all your equipment's up to date. And obviously in the winter, staying in shape. Getting your safety equipment, making sure that's all up to par, making sure the boat's safe to take people out. So, I mean, I consider that, training because it is a lot. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of money to really keep your equipment up to par and keep yourself up to par,
Yeah.
'Cause every day is different, It's so it's a lifestyle. There's no in between on it. That's what I love about it. Not everyone can go out and do it.
All or nothing.
It's all or nothing. That's it.
Love it. So, commercial bluefin industry over there, how does that work? Is it licensed or you got tags like hunting? What's the rules around catching fish commercially?
Yeah, so it's a federal fishery. They have a bunch of categories. It's a federal license. So, me being a charter captain as well, I have a head boat license. So I have different restrictions as, someone who might just want to go out and catch a few school bluefin to eat.
Like a wreck fisher?
Like a wreck fisherman, yeah.
Okay.
So I can, take those charters out to wreck fish, but I can also, commercial fish when I want. And as far as like the commercial aspect of it, they give you, the fish has to be a certain size, has to be over 73 inches, and you bring them in. There's a lot of rules on that you have to follow. As far as being out in state waters and federal waters and having land permits for states and all that stuff. And they're really strict on that part of it. And that's, like I said, that's federally protected. So every fish that comes in, you get a tag for it, and you can choose how you want to sell it. And that's how it is.
Okay.
So
and then,
good.
So it was 73 inches, you said, was it? Was
the
minimum?
73 inches and over is considered a giant.
Okay. And that's what you can keep commercially?
That's what you can keep commercially, yep.
Swimming off, I hear a lot of different things. Like probably the most common comment I get on things like Instagram, if we do a bluefin video, is mud dart or something anytime anyone releases it. So what do you think your swim off rate is?
Well,
for
first
one
off,
that's 71 inches or something you can't keep.
I mean, anything, under 73, anything we're unsure about, I don't dart. I mean, it's just, I don't, I'm just, some people do, but I'm just not a fan of it. I have plenty of gaffs on the boat that are big enough to reach down and, snag them up from during their pinwheels, and just not a fan of it. Unless I know I'm keeping it or it's a giant, I'm not going to do it. And even when I'm releasing giants, I won't even dart them, obviously, but, it's not so obvious to other people.
Yeah.
Teach your own, I guess.
Swim them. Yeah, definitely. But you just swim them. You just bring them in, swim them, keep them moving.
So, I'll get them to the boat, and if I know for a fact I'm not keeping them, I'll get a few boat side pictures as, we get a swim hook in them, have that attached to a long rope, and have a long tail rope on them, and we'll just, put the boat in gear, go about, 5 knots, give or take, and, just a lot of times, they kick right back to life, and you don't even have to swim them that long.
Yep.
Especially, the fight's just a lot less stressful and a lot different when you're not keeping the fish, because, you can get them in a lot quicker, and it's a lot of stress taken off your shoulders. So
right.
it's that's what
pretty
we do
good release rate.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, that's good. And then the ones you do keep commercially, so you decide who you sell them to, or you have to sell them to a certain person. And what is the movement from you selling it to someone's plate? So how does that all work? Getting it through, looking after the fish, everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's you. Of course, you have the choice of who you want to sell them to when you get them in. You get the fish in. First thing you do is, make sure you know what buyer they're going to. Get them. Make sure that they're of size. Obviously, measure them both side, and sometimes when you're alone, it's a little tougher to get an exact measurement on them. But I put a few marks on the side of my boat, of 73,
right.
And as long as they're over that, I'll swim them for about 5 minutes. Let them cool down a little bit. Once I swim them, especially a lot of the bigger ones that you get, I swim them for a lot longer. I'll swim them for like a half hour. Let them behind the boat. Put a poly ball at the end of the tail. Swim them, get them back, and just you get the gaff and you just bleed the gills out. Bleed them, and then give them a cut behind the pectoral, and that's their main artery where they bleed out the most, and that's like the most important one because it's closest to like all the meat. So you cut that, let them bleed in the water for about 5-10 minutes, get them in the boat, ice them up, cover them. I like to put I mean, a lot of people, everyone has their own ways. There's not any right or wrong way. I like to get them up on the boat, get a nice wet blanket or a few, put them on, and then wrap them up nice and tight in either a tarp or a fish bag, and ice them all up. Ice them as best as you can. Stuff the ice in the gills. Take the gills out. Take all the guts out, the stomach, the heart. If there's a new person on the boat who's never caught one, they got to take a bite of the heart. It's just
that's
a rule.
right, is it?
You got it. Yeah, it's a rule down here on my boat.
Is it?
When it's your first one, you got to take a bite of the heart.
Oh shit! I might be taking a bite of a heart one day.
You're gonna have to, man. You're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Then get them on the boat and time to go home. Make sure your buyer's lined up. He'll be waiting there with either a crane or a boom or some kind of lift and get them off. And at that point, what I like, we have a domestic market now down here, so not everything is shipped, which is, to me, it makes a lot more sense because, especially when there's a big, like an influx of the fish coming in, I feel like when it goes overseas, it's not as taken care of. You don't get the same money for them, and it's also, it's considered a delicacy here now. A lot of people enjoy it in restaurants, and so now you have the choice of selling it either domestic or shipping it overseas, and that's a really really good market we have.
Yep.
Thankful for it.
And so when you get it in, and without going into money or anything, have you got a price lined up, or do they check the quality of the meat? Like, how does that work?
They'll take a sliver. They'll take a little sample sliver out of them. They'll check the fat content, the core temps, just the quality of the meat, and quality of the meat, determines the price you get. And at least, some guys can tell them on the spot, but most of the guys that I sell to, you got to wait about a week to get a price on them. You don't get the price right away.
Okay.
At least to who I sell to. I don't want to talk for anybody else, but it's it's more or less, they have to see who they're giving the fish to, what how it sells for them.
Okay.
They can't promise a price and give you something that not make anything on it, obviously, but
so there's a bit of trust involved as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of trust involved. It's there's a lot of people, especially, a lot of people who have the license to buy. I'm not going to name any of them because I'm not going to get into that right now, but there's a lot of them I don't trust out there. There's a lot. You got to be, you got to have that circle of trust when you're selling them, because you never know. You could have a gem of a fish, an absolute diamond, and they're telling you that they only got $4 for it, $3, and realistically, they got 15, 20.
Wow, big difference, hey?
Yeah. There's definitely a line of trust in it.
Yep.
And I'm grateful for getting into it when I did, because I was able to, secure that, like really secure that, that circle that I have, and the people that I deal with.
Yeah,
I trust them with a lot. So
yeah, that's good. You need it by the sounds of it.
Yeah, you have to.
And you mentioned there, you bleed it and you leave it in the water for a little while you're towing it back in. Anywhere I've ever fished for tuna, which is mainly, I guess, in the Pacific, so nowhere near where you are, we're racing to get them out of the water, or sharks just come in and clean them up. They're not that big. They're nowhere near 900 pounds. But do you have that issue, or does the size of the fish just deter it?
We have that issue.
So, yeah.
You just got to keep moving. You got to keep that boat in gear, and, you got to have someone at the side with the something to poke them, or a gaff or something. They come near that fish and they're getting poked.
Really? So they are there.
Yeah, they are there, and we've over the past they've always been here, but over the past 10 years or so, we've had a huge influx in great whites, and the great whites here are really big. Yeah, so dealing with those and seeing those, pretty scary. I mean, I've had a few come up and take bites out.
Really?
And, yeah, and hopefully.
And you still sell that fish?
So yeah, you can still sell. You're not going to get the same money.
Okay.
And you're not going to get the same weight, of course.
Yep.
And it sucks. I mean, surprisingly though, most of the times that I've gotten taxed by the sharks.
Yep.
Has been as I'm fighting them, like mid-fight. You'll feel a difference or something. You'll be fighting them, and it's always toward the end. When the fish are tired, like these tuna swim so fast. I mean, when you see them in the water, it's like a car racing down the highway. It's insane. But once you get them slowed down and tired out, it's just a matter of getting them out of that pinwheel and getting them up to the boat, getting a dart in them and getting the boat. Soon as you get that tail rope on them, boat goes in gear, and you gotta protect it and make sure they don't come up. Because if you leave it unattended, even for a few minutes, I've learned the hard way, you're gonna get taxed.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because I don't ever see many videos of, I guess, big whites taking on bluefin, but I'm gonna have a bit of a search for it. So if they take the tail off, where are you measuring from?
So when they take bites out of them, a lot of the times it's from the side. Believe it or not,
okay.
They take a lot of side bites.
Right. The good meat.
Yeah, exactly. Like the best meat, they take the bite out of. I wish they took it from the tail. You do have like smaller ones. Like I've seen smaller makos, but you have this problem more with like fish on the smaller side. Like 73 inches to the 80 inches. Where they bite from the backs,
and that's on the smaller side.
Yeah, well, for these, and and it sucks. I mean, it's a lot of work, and it's just they just come up and they just ruin it sometimes.
Spoil it for you. Yep.
Sometimes when there's not a high demand for them. There's a lot of fish coming in. Sometimes they won't even take them. I've had buddies. I mean I have some pretty loyal guys who buy my fish, so they can kind of accommodate for things like that. But I've seen people who don't fish as much and go to sell a fish after getting sharked, and they won't even take them.
Really?
And it's a whole process when they don't take them, because you got to call NOAA, and it's a whole process. So it sucks.
So if there is a shark that comes in and takes a couple of good bites out of your fish, well, let's say takes most of your fish, Are you allowed to catch another one, or that's your fish?
It's a gray area, you know.
Right.
It's you can't possess it if you're not going to keep that fish. You know, you can't possess it.
Right.
So you can't have that fish on your boat if you start fishing again. If you're in possession of that fish and you catch another one, you know, you're technically not, you know, it's not legal.
Right.
So,
not within your license.
You kind of got to make that choice of, you know, if you're just going to take the loss and bring that fish in and just get paid for, you know, what you're going to get for it, or if you're going to, you know, try for another one.
Right.
And that's just, you know,
it's one of those things, hey?
One of those gray areas that you can't really control.
Yeah, okay. So moving forward a bit, you've grown up fishing and everything, and from that, BHAG's Charters has been born. So when and how did that all form?
So, you know, unlike a lot of other captains, you know, I grew up fishing, so, you know, I had it down. I learned the waters, you know, learned the science of fishing, you know, and fished for a long time before I started my charters, which to me, you know, is crucial. I mean, it's not right to, you know, still be a rookie yourself and then take other people's money when you don't even know what you're doing yourself. Not only are you ripping them off from a day of fishing, you're also putting them in danger because you don't have the experience out there. So, you know, I waited and I took my time. I learned as much as I could. I fished as much as I could. And when I was ready, I just, you know, I pulled the trigger and I got my first boat. I actually didn't charter with my first boat. It was my second boat I chartered with. And ever since then, it's, you know, it's taken off. It's doing really great. And I'm beyond grateful for the people I have on my boat. I mean, it's, like I said, there's nothing better than creating memories for people and seeing the look on their face when they're able to get their biggest fish, or, you know, even like seeing kids get their first fish. You know, there's no feeling like it.
Yeah.
So there's no other way I would have went.
How good's that? So
like
you mentioned there,
you know.
Yeah, I'm glad you found it, mate. Not everyone finds it. But you mentioned there a little bit about it before. So you do a bit of travel, and obviously you catch bluefin. Do you specialize in any other fish?
Yeah, I mean,
for your charters.
Yeah, I go around. I mean, I fish for anything that swims over here. You know, I do shark charters, tautog charters, blackfish, bottom fish, cod, haddock, pollock, striped bass, fluke, sea bass, squid charters. Squid charters are always fun. They make a mess, but they make an absolute mess of the boat. But it's some fun fishing. It's fun. Fun.
Yep.
They ink the boat. You know, you get back, the whole boat's black, but you know, everyone's going home and stuff. So
yeah, having a good time.
Pretty good. Yeah.
So I've got a bit of a scenario.
Either, so
sorry, what was that?
There's no restriction on the squid either. So, you know, if you can get into a good bite, you know, you can take home with whatever you catch.
Oh, that's good.
A lot of people that come with me are eating them. And they have big families, and you know, and they also fish. So they keep some for bait and they eat some.
Good, hey?
Yeah. So the first charters I do are the squid and the tautog charters, and then come the fluke charters and everything else after that.
And you do charter for bluefin as well?
Yep, I charter for the bluefin.
Okay.
I do the wreck trips and giant trips.
Is there a size limit for wreck?
Yeah, there's so you're allowed three unders and one over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of meat to take home.
Yeah, definitely. That'll keep you full.
It's a lot.
I've got a bit of a scenario for you here. So over the next year, 2 years, I want to start doing these little strike missions, I guess I'll call them. I'm sick of talking to guys like you and watching all these videos and not getting out there and being able to do it myself. So I want to start doing these little missions where I fly in for a day or 2 days or something, and get out on some of these charters and experience some of this stuff and just have a good time, film the whole thing and chuck it on YouTube and all that sort of stuff. So I want to start doing that. You're definitely on the list for people to contact.
Can't wait.
Tell me, flying in. So I'm out of Sydney, flying in. Where am I going? I want to go through a full day on your charter for bluefin, on a giant bluefin.
So a lot of the times when I do, especially with trips like that, because I have people come in from all over, especially for the bluefin trips.
Yeah.
You know, like I've had a few people from Scotland, you know, Canada. A few people came in 2 years ago. They came last year too, actually.
Yep. Just for that, just for bluefin.
Just for the bluefin, yeah. And they have a good bite in Nova Scotia as well. But you know, it's a very short season, and they're only allowed to keep one. You know, it's a very different fishery down there.
Right.
There's a lot of fish, but they're very very protected down there. So some people want to come and actually have the full experience of harvesting them and getting pictures with them, and you know, the whole 9 yards. And so a lot of the times when I have people come from like far away and even different states, they'll stay down for, you know, 3-4 days, sometimes a week. And because you can't always, you know, you gotta play with the weather too. Can't, you know, if the weather's bad or, you know, conditions aren't right or whatever it may be, you know, you gotta accommodate for that too. So, you know, when people come down to do those trips, I tend to tell them that, and obviously give them a good discount on it, and you know, get them do my best to get them on fish.
Right. So we fly in. Let's just say today's the day, weather's lined up and everything. What does that day look like? Where do we kick off?
So, depending where we're fishing, it all depends. You know, different times of the years. I mean, different times of the season. You know, depending where we're fishing and all that. You know, that's always lined up prior. So it's really hard to give like a definitive game plan.
But you're out there catching bait, or you got your bait beforehand.
Yep. So, like, there's so many different ways to catch these fish, and so many, you know, techniques to it. Sometimes, you know, you guys will come in. I'll already have bait ready. I'll have bait in my pen, you know, we're ready to rock. We'll head right out. And you know, sometimes, especially, you know, fishing mackerel or squid or stuff like that, we'll get it on the way out, and you know, and then go fish. So there's every day is different. You know, you can plan for one thing, and then you get out there and it's a whole different day.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to you know, give people that definite.
Yeah.
You know, that definite. But I mean, luckily, I've kind of learned the patterns of these fish, and they really are. They're creatures of habit. I mean, there's every year it's, you know, it doesn't come down to time. It comes down to like water temperature and condition and moon phases, and they're pretty spot on with their patterns.
Yep.
You know, they show up pretty close to same places every year, and you know, and that's all I have to really base it off of when people come in for the charters is, you know, prior, you know, the year before.
Yeah.
Especially if they book in advance. Like if you were to book a trip right now for, say, August or September, you know, it would be, you know, it would have to be, you know, in discussion until I say, you know what, this is where I feel like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
This is where they're going to be. This is where the bait's going to be. And this is where I think we should go, you know, so I'll book, you know, we'll book the trip. They'll get their trips lined up. They'll get the hotels lined up. You know, the Airbnbs or taxis, whatever, or car rentals, and you know, and we just stick with that plan. And
that's pretty cool. So you guide them when to come almost. You're not just taking any day they've got available and just filling it.
Absolutely not. No,
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm very very precise. Sometimes a little too precise and too too worried about it. I get in my head a lot and I overthink things, but I'm very accommodating for people. I'm not there to screw anyone, or I'm not there to just take their money and whatever. I really want to create these memories for people and make sure that they have the best time that they can have, and when they're coming here, they know what they're coming into.
Yeah, best chance.
They bet best chances. Like
Yeah.
I had a few people from Texas come down last year, and it was pretty awesome. They booked 4 trips. We caught 4 fish in a row. It was
Oh,
like
wow.
clockwork. Yeah, they got here. They got here late. I want to say they got here late on the Saturday, and we fished the Monday. It was like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, then the following Monday because they stayed for a week, and we got fish every day.
Wow.
Like, it was awesome.
That's the dream trip I want.
Yeah, that's best case. That's
best case. Yeah.
It's so hard to guarantee it, but I'm
can't
definitely
surely.
do my best.
Yeah,
definitely do my best. So.
Well, I've never fought a bluefin before. I have fought yellowfin, and they fight like mad. How do you think I'd go? 900 pounder. You've hooked it up. How do you reckon I'd go? Never fighting anything like that before in my life. What's that look like for me?
So I have, you always get, the unrealistic people and the people that trust my word. You got some people. I'm gonna do it stand up. I'm gonna fight these things the whole time on stand up with the belt. And
I was gonna ask you about stand up.
And it's and it is, especially like for the smaller class fish. Those from like obviously 30 pounders to 80, 90 inches. It's great, but I mean, I've seen the biggest of guys just fold, and a lot of, especially when I'm alone, I fight a lot. I fight them in the rod holder, and 9 times out of 10, that rod ends up right there, regardless what they say, and we finish off the fight in the rod holder because it's a battle. It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's see guys hurled over the side throwing up after the fight, and and
yeah,
it's always the guys who talk the most too that that fold the quickest.
Yeah,
it's always the quiet ones that surprise me. They're up on the bow in these rough weather, and they're fighting the fish, and they're cheering. And the guys that talk and saying they're gonna fight them the whole time, they're in the back throwing up. It's pretty funny how it goes, but it's definitely it's a trip to remember, and it's I'm beyond blessed to be able to be a part of it.
Well, one day we're gonna do it.
We're gonna do it, brother. You're gonna get down here, and we're gonna fish our ass off.
Yeah, giant bluefin.
Yeah, absolutely.
See if we can beat your 900 pounder.
That's what it was. It was like 900 dressed.
Oh, so that's gutted and everything.
Yeah, that's without the head and the tail. Without the guts.
Shit. Yeah.
So
that's heaps bigger.
With the head and the tail and like all the guts in place, everything like just caught. It was definitely over 1,000.
Wow.
Definitely over $1,000 for sure.
Absolute beast.
That's my only grander. I mean, I've came close. I've gotten a few, and it's hard to tell because most of the time, when you bring them in, they're already gutted and ready to sell. So it's hard to get a real, like, accurate weight on what they weighed when you caught them.
Yeah.
But
you're still not doing it for the trophy.
You can still guess is pretty close.
Yep.
So I'm, that fish dressed at like 9. I want to say 940 or something like that. So it was probably around like 1150.
Wow.
Everything
in a
done.
tuna.
Yeah.
So if that thing dies down there in the fight, are you getting it in? You're not getting it in, are you?
Yeah. That's actually best case scenario.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. So sometimes, especially when they take those big runs right at first, you get these smart fish and they'll fight like sharks at first. They'll just bend the rod, they'll take little runs, and they'll save that energy for the end of the fight. And those are the ones that you're in for it. When you hook up and they take off, they take the whole line at once. It's those are the ones that usually halfway through the fight, they just croak, and you get on top of them and you just lift them.
Right.
You just get up and you just crank on them and get them right in. I have broken. I actually have a hook right here. This
Oh,
was
show me
2
that.
weeks ago.
Yep.
We had the whole, that happened. We thought the fish died mid-fight, and put the drag all the way up. It was pretty rough out. My buddy Jared was on the rod, and we put the drag all the way up, we're cranking on him. Saw the boat and just like went ape shit. Started pinwheeling, tried taking off. Rod snapped back. We got the hook back, and
Show me that.
uh,
Oh, he snapped it off,
right off.
Wow.
I've broken more hooks, and I'm happy to say, it's happened more times than I ever imagined. It's just
Really?
it's crazy the power of these fish. I mean, you look at these hooks, and how the fuck can something break a solid piece of metal like this?
You think it'd just rip clean out or something?
So a lot of the times what happens, especially when they break, so I use a lot of circle hooks.
Right.
I just started using them probably 2 years ago. And what I think happens is when the hook gets caught in the corner of their hinge, that hinge is like metal. That hinge is like really tough.
Okay.
That's like the hardest part of the fish.
Right.
So when those fish turn, if you give them just a little bit of slack, and they're able to turn their body, when all that pressure is applied to them, it's just, it twists in the hinge, and that hook can't move. And I think it just pops it right off.
Okay. So it's not just clean bending it out.
Like, every time I broke a hook, I've seen the hook, like whether the fish come up, 30 feet in front of me, or start splashing on top. It's pretty easy to see it shining in the corner of its mouth. And every time I've seen them break, they've always been hooked in that hinge.
Right. Okay.
To me, I mean, who knows? No one might ever know, but to me, that's when shit goes wrong as far as hooks go.
Yep.
And I'm a creature of habit, so I've caught a lot of fish on these hooks as well, but I mean, this was probably the last one they all went in the trash when I got back.
So you catch one fish, one hook.
Yeah. I don't reuse hooks.
Okay.
Never.
Yeah.
So, if I get a fish on them, they're done.
Gone. I suppose when you're doing it for a living as well, you want the best gear.
It costs, they aren't cheap, but you know what? It's not worth the risk of, using a hook that's compromised, because there's a lot of pressure and a lot of heat that go into that hook, and you never know.
Yeah.
Same thing. I learned my lesson with that. I reused one, years back, and I broke it after catching a fish on it, and ever since then I change them out, or I use them for like shark. When I do some shark charters too, I'll put them in a little box and I'll use them for shark fishing and stuff, because sharks don't really fight the same as tuna. They're pretty much like, they come in like a piece of wood compared to tuna.
Well, that's why I asked if you could get it in. I've seen some guys before fighting big tiger sharks, and if they died, they're gone. They're not getting it.
I've never actually caught a tiger. Right. We got blue sharks, mako sharks, poor beagles, great whites.
Yep.
I've hooked into a few hammerheads, got a few hammerheads. Sand shark shit, stuff like that, and I have heard those tiger sharks, they fight the hardest, though. I heard
just
those things.
Big.
Yeah.
Big, powerful things. It's terrifying. Terrifying things. Especially
those are not bull sharks. I heard bull sharks quite good too.
Bull sharks are just wild. Wild here.
Yeah.
We get heaps of them. Heaps of them up the
we
rivers
get
everywhere.
Makos. Probably the hardest fighting shark we have here are mako sharks, for sure.
Yep. Yeah, they're good fun.
They're fun. They fly out of the water. They jump 20 feet in the air sometimes.
Yeah.
They're wild, but they don't get like, monstrous like some of these poor beagles and some of these thresher sharks. The thresher sharks actually probably get the biggest hair. Those in the great whites.
Really? That's on my list. I love thresher sharks. Yeah, I've never even seen one in the flesh.
Oh, they're wild. Those tails. I mean, you get in the way of those tails, and you're getting knocked out. It's
really
the power behind those. The power behind those whips are dangerous.
Yeah,
dangerous.
Yeah, no, I love the threshers. Paw beagles I'm not too familiar with, but how big do they get?
I've got them. I've never kept one, honestly. But
Yep.
I'd say biggest one I've probably got was like 500, maybe
Wow.
400.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check those out after this. I
They're
think.
cool. They're cool. I mean, they're especially like in this December. I mean, this December and you get these winters that they just infest the tuna waters, like
Right.
absolutely infest. This year, I think it was like 6 years ago. 6 years ago, it was like the same as this year, and it was like you'd put a bait out there, and within 3 minutes, you'd either have a shark or a tuna bite. And it's just it was just
Wow.
There was one day I went through like 10 packs of hooks, and it was just
There's your profit.
there's so many of them now. It's crazy, and they're cold.
Yeah.
They're cold water sharks, so they're those are the ones you got to deal with right now.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, there was always something scary to me growing up doing the game fishing, being way out at sea, and you just see someone pull in just a monster of a tiger shark or a mako shark coming out of the water, and
it's wild.
It's cool.
Stuff.
It's terrifyingly cool.
Wild shit. I actually have a video on my phone of I was in the middle of a striper blitz, and there's some seals moved in and stuff, and these sharks, they're like, when I tell you a school of at least 10 to 12 sharks moved in on these seals and fish, they just started annihilating them. I mean, it was like a bloodbath. There was sharks all over the top of the water, right? And then I don't know if it was a great white or a big thresher, something came through and just knocked them all out of the way and took the seal.
Wow.
I got it all on video. Maybe if you want to show it, that'd be pretty cool.
Definitely. I'll check that out.
Pretty wild.
It's crazy. Plenty of sharks around at the moment.
Yeah.
But before we get in, I've got a bunch of these videos here just to show what you are actually catching. What gear you got? Because I can see the rod behind you. So what do you use to catch these absolute monsters?
So these are this right here. This is my Pen 130 right here.
Yep.
So this is for like, the strictly giants.
Big gear.
Bigger fish. This is spooled up with 250 top shot.
Yeah.
Reason I go that heavy, I go lighter on the leaders. I go from, like between 150 and 200 pound leader, but we have a lot of lobster pots here. So, getting those through those lobster pots sometimes is, a challenge. So having that heavy line that can withstand that abrasion and that, that damage that, because there's a lot of pressure when those fish are fighting, and there's nothing worse than losing them on lobster pots, and there's a lot of them here. So I always go heavy on the top shot. So this one's the 130, and then I use a lot of these 80 wides on charters. These are smaller ones. You can't really tell in the video, but
still
they're
huge.
Definitely, they're a lot smaller and a lot lighter.
Yep.
So if you do have guys that want to do the stand-up stuff and whatever, you can, pick them up and use them, and then, whenever they get tired, put them back in the rod holder.
Yeah. With that other bigger one, you can't do that.
What'd you say?
With the other bigger one, you can't do that, hey? The other bigger rod.
It's a little tough. It's a little heavier.
Yeah.
These Winthrop guys, these Winthrop butts, these things are awesome. These are on every single rod, every single offshore rod that I have.
Right. So they're adjustable by the looks of it. It's a little bit low there.
So they actually.
Oh yeah.
They actually adjust. You can actually adjust them, to the way you want with that. See.
Right.
Just like that. So the advantage, there's a lot of advantages to that. Like if if you're trolling and you want to keep the rod spread out without outriggers or whatever, you can put these into like an L shape, like 90 degrees, and just have them twisted off the boat so they're both facing this way and they're farther away.
Yep.
And then especially like solo fishing for these things is tough. So, what I do with these, I'll kind of put them on more of an angle like this.
Yep.
And what that rod does is a lot of the straight butts, they keep the rod at one angle, like almost like, probably like this. With these Winthrops, I'll put them down like this. So when you're fighting that fish, especially when they're straight up and down, they're under the boat, that rod tip is literally under the boat. So if that fish comes up pinwheeling, it won't hit the bottom of the boat because the rod
I see.
is farther down,
Yep.
And that's been like a key aspect of getting these fish in alone.
And there's no weakness in that hinge or anything?
No.
Nah.
I probably got about, since I got these on these butts alone, probably have over 150 giants on them, 200 giants. Got them serviced once, and I didn't even have to do them. He just told me to send them in, and I did, and he just, lubed them up, greased them up, and checked them, and sent them right back.
Yep.
Got them back in a week, and ready to rock again.
How good's that?
That's like, there's certain things that they're so small, but they make such a big impact, and like, those are definitely one of the best inventions.
Yep.
That came out. They're awesome.
And then, what about the bait and everything? So, how are you setting up out there? Just before I bring these videos up.
So, like I said, every day is different.
Yeah.
Every scenario is special. You get out there. These things eat anything.
Yeah.
I noticed they're very picky. If they're keened in on something, that's all they want. Unless they're on draggers, like when they're on draggers and things like that, and they're eating anything that's coming off of them, it's a lot easier to get behind those boats and hook up to them. But when they're, as far as like them being on a bait school, you need to use what's around you.
Right.
Whether it be cod, pollock, whiting, mackerel, herring, bluefish. I've caught them on. I've caught them on stuff as dumb as dogfish. I don't know if you have dogfish up there. They're like sharks.
Right.
They look like sharks. They're about, they can get from about, I don't know, a foot to 3 feet.
Okay.
I've caught them on those. I've caught them on legal fluke. I've caught them on a lot of stuff, dude, and they're definitely wild creatures.
Yep.
But smart. Very
smart. Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. They're smart, and they are tough.
Yep.
They're tough.
One day we're going to do it, but I got these. I'll bring these videos up here. Sorry, let me sort this out. So they're not really in much of an order. I've just got a couple of different ones. The first one, we got the team lift, mate. The whole group of you here, just to give an idea of how big these fish are. So there's a few of you out that day by the looks of it. That is a giant.
So I soloed that fish. I caught that fish alone, and
this was a solo one, hey?
Yeah, my buddy jumped on to help me.
Bring it back up.
And yeah, he hopped on to help me.
Yep.
Get it in, because I was struggling. To get this one in.
And do you often? So when you go out there for a trip like this, have you got people around you who a little network, or you sometimes out there just fully solo?
I have a good circle of friends.
Yeah.
And that's important with especially fishing these things, because they're one of the only fish that you need to predict where they're gonna come through.
Right.
You need to set up, and you need to just pray that they come into your bait and roll through. You could be 30 feet from somebody, and he's marking 20 fish on the screen, and you're just not seeing anything. So it's always good to have that network of friends out there, to say, to help you out, and you help each other out. You help the people that help you.
Yep.
And as far as safety, like a safety aspect of it too.
Sorry, mate.
Just having someone around is awesome.
Yeah.
You have that safety in that safety net, that if anything goes wrong, they're there to help. And that's it's really, really important.
And I guess that's a question with it too. Like, even, I don't know if you can see this one here yet. of you pulling that in looks solo, or you got another bloke there?
Yeah, so that was another one someone else jumped on.
Right.
But that one he was already almost in the boat, so I just we just recorded it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty calm day. It wasn't too rough. It sucks because a lot of the days that are really rough, I've had some really cool experiences when it was really shitty out. But it's tough to record it because you're just worried about getting in safe and getting the fish in and stuff. So next year I'm definitely going to be a lot better with the GoPros, and I really want to get up on that YouTube stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, they're getting pretty good with their stabilization with them, but I suppose the whole rocking.
Yeah, they're pretty good now.
Yep. But like a monster like this, I guess in rougher seas, is there ever a concern of just tipping the boat?
I've had pretty questionable calls as far as all the weight being to one side.
Yep.
And having waves come, and coming over the gunnels and filling the boat or whatever. I can't say I've ever worried about flipping though.
It's a pretty stable boat you got there.
Yeah, that's a Cobia. That's a pretty good boat. I love that boat.
How big is it, that one?
24.
Okay.
24 feet.
Trailer. And here's you're doing what you said there, pulling it in on a tarp, and then you just fill that tarp with ice.
Yep, I take the gills out and the gill plate, and I just stuff it with ice after I swam for a while. So if you look at that one, actually, so this is a really cool fish. If you keep playing it,
you
can actually see an old harpoon dart in the side of it.
Oh, is that it under the peck there?
Yeah. So that's not my dart. That was from someone else. They harpooned it, and it got away.
So tough fish.
Tough fish. They're wild.
Yep.
They're wild fish.
Giant. Do you remember how big this one was?
I'll say he was
what a beast.
114 inches.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't remember the weight, but I know he was 114.
Yep.
So I remember that one because I didn't get as good of a price because of that mark on the side of it. And that's not a little mark. Like that's probably bigger than my hand.
Yeah, I'm looking at your hand compared to it now.
So it looks like someone was fighting it on the harpoon dart, and it pulled the dart, and the fish got away.
Okay, so those harpoon, like. they like go in and then spring out open or something, do they?
Yeah, so they actually turn. So the harpoon goes in, it'll go in straight on the pole, and then you pull the pole away, and when there's tension on the string, it's tied to the side, so it goes in, and then it actually pulls like that. So it's in the fish sideways like that, and that's a string coming off. So it actually turns in the fish.
Yep.
So that's a lot of pressure to be able to pull that out.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's a giant. And for anyone,
that's not the first one I've caught with wounds on it like that.
Yeah.
I've caught a few with some crazy battle scars on them.
What's the worst one? You had one with shark bites out of it or anything like that?
I had one with the shark bite out of it wasn't horrible, but it was more toward the tail.
Right.
Like a little bit higher than it. But had a nice chunk taken out of it.
Yep.
It was healing over though. It was pretty healed when I got it.
Pretty incredible.
That was probably the worst one. I caught one with 3 hooks in it. Had three other people like rusted out hooks in them.
Wow.
They're very, very, very tough fish.
And for anyone not watching this, these are monsters. So you can check it out on YouTube, or I think on Spotify now as well. You can check out the video episode, even just for these parts, because these fish are incredible. And so we'll just run through that one there. Have a go at this one. Bringing in a monster. I'll put this one down as another one. So this whole setup here, it's like a winch setup that you've got that just helps you pull these in, and you're still struggling.
Yeah, I got a block and tackle. So what happens with that door sometimes?
Yep.
When they're like big enough, they'll go like right over the top.
Right.
But sometimes like they'll get wedged in between the door. So you got to use a little extra force to get them in without messing the meat up too much.
Shit, I can't even imagine catching one of those. Can't even fathom it.
So that fish right there, I caught that So I actually went out to a spot that I caught one the day before. The fish were completely gone. And it started to get pretty rough. The swell started to pick up a little bit. And in the distance a little bit, I could see like the whale's blowholes, the whales blowing up in the horizon. So I flew out there and I had probably like 100 fish on my screen. Thing ate it right out of my hand.
And what does that tell you, the whales?
What? Say it again.
What do the whales tell you?
So the whales, if there's whales around, there's tuna. I mean,
really,
more times than not, they're on the bait. They're on. That's the life you're looking for. You're looking for whales, dolphins, birds. And they're not the fish aren't always on them, but they're usually somewhere around them. So when these whales have the bait, and you always know. I mean, when these tuna come through, you know it. I mean, you smell them. All the life, the birds, the whales, the dolphins, everything just starts acting different. It's like an all-out like Discovery Channel kind of stuff. They work in the same area. Like a lot of the times you'll run into whales that are just, migrating or moving along, and they're just like skimming the top of the water. But when you pull up on a pack of whales and you see them bubble feeding and diving down, coming back up, breaching the water, and it's just like you see slick, and you can actually see the slick in that picture, in that still right there. That's all like oil. I was marking fish that whole time, getting that fish up, fighting. And there was that was a little bit out of the whales, but there was fish everywhere that day. It was that day was pretty epic.
Yeah. And do you ever have close calls with the whales? Do you ever have close calls?
I've had a few close calls. I mean, they come right up to the boat sometimes.
Really?
They're smart. Those things are smart too, though. I mean, we have a whole thing going on right now with offshore wind farms.
Yeah, we've got the same thing here.
Oh my God! All these whales are washing up, and they're blaming it on ship strikes. But like, you think about it, and you're flying through these whales, 50 miles an hour. You got big boats going 30 knots right through them, and they're able to dodge these boats.
Yep.
So for people to blame them on ship strikes, like, I think more times than not, they're already dead when the ships hit them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're a bit behind here. We're going through the argument now of they're trying to get them offshore.
Oh, we're in the hellhole of it. I mean, we have 100 up right now. It's
fucked, isn't it?
It's horrible, and it's all you hear when you're out there and they're working on them. Just boom, 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 just nailing the bottom.
Yep.
And it's horrible. I mean, there's no way that it's not causing damage.
Yeah.
To everything, not just the whales. I mean, we have dolphins washing up. We have, lobsters coming up with all kind of like deformations and scallops that are, all clammed up and just horrible. And they put 5 up, probably like 20 miles from there. And they hold some good fish. They do. I'm not going to lie. They do when they're done, but the damage that they cause when they're putting them in is just, unless you're out there, you don't know. And it's, it really is sad that they're letting it happen, because it's a talk for a different day, I think. But
I think so, yeah, because it's, like I said, same thing's going on here, and
yeah, do your best, and every voice matters.
Definitely.
Every voice and every, I know it doesn't feel like it, but try to be a part of it and stop it, because once those things go up, it's, and then they're putting them up in the best spots. They're putting them up in spots that were, held the best fish for hundreds of years. Spots that I fished when I was a little kid, that there's no fish anymore there. That they're ruining the spawning beds. They're moving rocks. They're dredging. They're just, it's horrible, horrible stuff.
Yeah, they're talking the same here, and it's an unbelievable fishing ground here as well, not far from where I am at Nelson's Bay. And same thing, but as you said, talk for another day. That one could go on for hours.
Absolutely.
Focus on these bluefin. So that one there, yeah, so the whales, a couple of close calls. Not good. That thing's a beast, though. And you get it in. I got one more video and then a couple of photos as well. But yeah, you can see your rod there with that, what do you call it, the angle bracket?
Yeah, yep. That the Winthrop butts.
Winthrop, yep.
Yeah, they've saved me a lot of fish.
Have they? Yeah. Well, this one here. What's the bait they're hitting there?
So those are Manhattan. Those are the pogies.
Okay. And they're all just bluefin hitting them.
And there's bluefin under them. I mean, I had someone who had like a professional camera that day. I don't know how they didn't capture it. I don't know. I don't know what she was doing, but I mean, it was an awesome day. She brought her father out there.
Yep.
The day before that, the bait moved in there. That day we lost like 3 fish, and then we go, and it was good for about a week. It was like the same thing for about a week with the bluefin blowing up on the pogies like that. And there was so many fish. It was like 40 feet of water too. Shallow.
You can see the land there in the background, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. It was wild. I mean, they blow them. They corral them in these spots.
Yeah.
And they just, and it's wild because like even when they're not feeding on them, they know how to keep them there. You know, they'll circle. They'll keep them in a spot even when they're not feeding on them. It's
just like round them up.
Thing. And you see them, and it's frustrating because you're seeing all these tuna flying around, and they won't eat anything. You know, it's like that's when a lot of the harpooners come in, and you know, you're watching them nail them.
Yeah.
And you're having trouble hooking them. But
they're the ones with the electric bolts, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one guy coming on next week to chat about that, actually.
And it's it's wild. I mean, but there's always a time where they feed. You know, if you stay out there, you know, and you stick it out, you're gonna get that chance.
And when you're in a scene like this, is there boats everywhere?
There was a few days after that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that day there wasn't. There was no boats around that day. I think it was me, my buddy Dempsey, my buddy Wilson, and a few other guys that have their boats local. I mean, you could see it right from the docks. It was wild.
Wow.
I mean, guys were coming out on their lobster boats, you know, just just catching them, and it was a wild scene. And then once word got out, it was over.
And you ever get the urge to chuck a lure on and try a bit of topwater fishing?
Yeah, it's so tough. It's so tough with these big fish.
Yeah, I can't imagine
doing the topwater stuff on them. I mean, I have a few rigs that I fish baits right on top. You know, like I'll use a kite bait. You know, keeps it right on top. But that gives you the advantage of that being hooked to your big rod. So once you hook up, you know, it's fair game. A lot of these fish you hook on spin gear and they just, you know, they hit it and they either spool it or break off. And, you know, and it's, I don't like that because a lot of the times when they take all the line off the reel, all that line's behind them. So as these fish are swimming, they get entangled in all that line.
Yep.
So I'm very selective when I use spin gear and when I use conventional gear and the big gear.
And these things are absolute giants. Jeez, look at that. Topwater's something else when they're hitting the surface like that.
If I had a topwater that day, they would have smoked it.
Yep. Well, here's the rest of it. So you did get something. Yeah, it's good that Winthrop, I think you called it.
Yeah, the Winthrop. Yeah, I mean it's good when like I said, when you're solo, you know, because it gives you that advantage of keeping that angle down.
Yep. Yeah, there's your harpoon there. There's your fish. Just like that, eh?
That was a pretty wild week. And I mean, it happens. It's crazy because it happens so many, like, in so many random spots every year. Like, they'll be out deep, and then next thing you know, they're not there, and then you're on your way in and you see these fish in 20 to 30 feet of water,
Yeah.
and you're just on them. And I remember that once all those boats moved in on that bait school, it was, the bait was still in there, but the fish, like, the bait was staying in there, and they were acting like there was fish on them, but you couldn't see the fish. So I set up a little outside of the cove in a little deeper water, and the fish were just like in a wall, just right outside of that cove. Like, if anything tried to leave, they were stopping them. And I got a fish there, and then after that, it just died off.
Yep.
But
so they're pretty clever fish, really.
They're very clever, very clever, very smart.
Yeah. Okay.
And like I said, there's a lot of times that you can set up and you're right on them, and you go right off, and you're in crazy amount of life. They're blowing up around you and all that, but 75% of the time you need to set up, and you need to be set up where you think they're going to come through. Yeah. And you just got to pray that they go there, and that's your chance. Whether the pressure, whether the pressure changes, or storms coming in, or something, the tide stops, or something changes, and then, like, it's like a light switch, just like any other fishing. It's like a light switch,
just on or off.
Yeah, like, I love fishing wrecks for these things.
Yeah,
fishing wrecks, and probably the top 4 biggest fish I've caught have been fishing wrecks.
Really?
So
you'll go up and you'll anchor up out there, and
I'll either anchor up or I'll drift over them. And it's like you have that piece of structure in the middle of nowhere in a desert, and all that bait's corralled into that one spot, and these fish will just, like I said, they'll do circles around. They'll keep them on that wreck, and then when they want to feed, they all move in on them, and it's mayhem.
Yeah.
But like I said, and that's a lot of times that's when I can pull bigger fish off, because you don't have massive schools and a massive biomass that's like migrating. They're like they're staged up there. They're feeding there for, like, that's where they're feeding every day. So you'll have like 4 or 5 fish, on this one pile of like a shipwreck, and you put a big bait out, like a big cod or a big bluefish, and that's how you're gonna pull those bigger fish.
Yeah, you just drop them down to depth and
just drop them down wherever they are, and like early season, I have a few wrecks out east of where I am, and you won't mark more than 1 or 2 fish, and you'll get a chance every morning. You'll see them, you'll mark them, you'll get a bite, and if you miss that chance, and they're gone. Then you come back the next day and they're there again.
Really?
It's there's a lot of different ways to get on these things, and there's always people in certain areas that fish it better than the other person. Like, one person could be an absolute god in a spot, and they catch a fish every time.
Yep.
Then they go to someone else's home turf, and they can't get one to eat it. Because they're smart fish, and they're very they follow patterns. So, and if you can learn a place and learn the way they eat, that's how you get good at fishing these things.
Right.
A lot of luck involved too, but definitely a lot of science and skill.
Yep.
Sure.
It's incredible fish. And
they are.
Before we wrap up, mate, any big giant plans for you, 2025? Or just giant bluefin?
I'm in the works of building a bigger boat.
Yeah, okay.
A new boat. So for next year, I'll have that option of, being able to fish more days, having an inside, and just there's a lot more advantages of having a bigger boat, because the boat I have now, I mean, it's great. I can go fast, but it's small, and, and I'm so grateful for the loyal customers that I have, because they stuck with me in all these conditions that they've came out in, and they could easily go on another boat that's 3 times the size and have all the shelter that they want. But the fact they choose to fish with me is awesome. So hopefully I can gain a few more customers this year with the bigger boat. And
when's that coming?
so should be done by like April or May.
Oh, cool. That's pretty soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got my buddy's father-in-law doing it. I mean, sorry, my buddy's son-in-law building them. He's a really good boat builder in Boston.
Yep.
And looking forward to working with him, doing videos, and like I said, I'm planning on really, utilizing the whole YouTube thing and the GoPros and the social media aspect of it, because I'm not really the best at it, and I have a lot of things that I'm like, I wish I had a camera out, or
yeah,
I wish I had that on camera, like stuff that people wouldn't even believe. Like, you see the wildest stuff out there. So next year, I definitely gonna focus more on getting that footage and getting it out there to the world.
Well, mate, it's been an absolute privilege to talk to you. I cannot wait. One day I'm coming over there, hopefully in the next year or two, and we're going to get a giant bluefin.
You'll have a spot, brother, whenever you want.
Yep.
I really appreciate you having me.
No, mate, anytime. Thanks for coming on. Man. Thanks for telling some stories, and I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Sounds good, brother.
Good on you, Brandon.